welcome everybody to this wonderfully wonderful special day here with Zeta Global Radio, and I am pleased to say that Natural Awakenings of Central New Mexico is sponsoring this entire hour that we get to spend with Dr. Bruce Lipton, and oh my God, this is just a wonderful, wonderful moment. Thank you, Natural Awakenings, for allowing this opportunity. And thank you, Dr. Bruce Lipton, for being here and sharing the work that you do. Now, you have an event coming up at the Hyatt Regency, November 8th through the 11th, with Greg Braden, who will also be on the show here coming up in a few weeks. Do you want to touch on the work that you're talking about here with everything today, from consciousness to science to quantum physics and to everything, and where we're going and what people can expect?
Greg and I have the wonderful opportunity of presenting new information about what's going on in the world today. As we mentioned earlier, the world looks like it's in a state of profound chaos. Everywhere there's economic, religious, racial, political strife, all this going on, not just in one country, all of them at once. The important understanding about this is not an accident. This is actually, everything is what I would say right on time. And the reason is very important, and that is this. We, as a civilization, have precipitated what is called the sixth mass extinction of life on this planet. Basically, 5 times in the history of this planet, life was thriving, and some event happened, and from 70 to 90% of life got wiped out at once. And the last time this happened was about 66 million years ago, when the world was lush and thriving. Dinosaurs were here, and the whole thing was tropical and everything fantastic. And then some event happened, and boom, all the dinosaurs got wiped out. But not just the dinosaurs, 90% of life got wiped out. And that was because a comet had hit the Earth and upended the environment. Well, that was the 5th mass extinction, and 4 times before that, something happened, and life was thriving, and then it got wiped out. Today, we're already facing the 6th mass extinction. In other words, and just in the last 30 or 40 years, we've lost about 70%, 62% at this moment, of animals on this planet have disappeared since 1970. I mean, that's 2/3 of animal life has completely gone since 1970. That there will be no fish in the ocean by 2048 as a result of overfishing, polluting the water, destroying the breeding grounds, etc.
Oh, my God.
All of this upheaval is due to human behavior. It's humans that are not living in harmony with nature, and because of the way we're living, we're destroying the ecosystem without recognizing a very important fact. We are derived from the ecosystem.
Right.
If we undermine the world as we're doing, we're essentially undermining our own existence. So, yes, we are now into the 6th mass extinction. Human behavior is the cause of this. There's only one way out, and that is we as a civilization must change our behavior right now. We must start to learn that we are part of nature, that we must live in harmony with nature, and we just can't walk all over it like we've been doing and exploiting the planet. As a matter of fact, the recent study showed that if everyone in the world lived as the people in the United States lives right now, it'll take 5 planet Earths to provide for those people.
Wow.
If we live the way people in India live, it only takes 0.7 Earth to create what we need. And all of a sudden you say, oh my God, we're depleting the Earth faster.
When you say that about India, what do you mean by that? Because actually we have a very strong India and Nepal listenership, and I wonder what they're thinking when you say that.
About India?
Yeah, when you say if we lived like they did versus how we do.
Living in harmony.
Yes, okay.
Taking care of the environment. It's actually, the simple truth is this: if we go back to the way original Native Americans or First Nation people in Canada, the original natives here, if we lived the way they lived, then we'd recognize one thing, and that was that they perceived of the environment as a garden, and they perceived of their role as taking care of the environment. We lost that part. We've just looked at the environment as something that we can use and take whatever we want, have dominion over. I go, that's where the problem comes from. So if we went back and said, we are gardeners in here, we have to take care of this planet, that is the only way that we'll be able to sustain civilization. Otherwise, human civilization is going to be one of the early dropouts. So it basically says we have to change behavior. Well, that's why you and I are so engaged at this moment, because it says, well, what the heck is controlling our behavior? And then from previous conversation is whatever program we got in the first 7 years is determining how we live on this planet, how we treat the planet, how we treat each other. And if we look at the way we are destroying the planet and destroying our own civilization, it really says, well, where the heck is this problem coming from? I go, way back.
Right.
It comes from being raised with belief systems that are not in harmony with the planet. And then we dismiss all of that by saying, oh, no, genes are doing this, and we're just a victim of the genes. Let me give one story that should just really be an eye-opener.
Please, yeah.
They followed the fate of children who were adopted into families where cancer was running in the family. So a family has a cancer running through it, let's say breast cancer or some particular cancer is characteristic of this family. And we used to say, oh, genes control this. But then guess what? They found that when a child is adopted into that family, the adopted child will get the same cancer as the normal sibling in that family, and yet the adopted child comes from totally different genetics. The point is very profound. The cancer that's running in that family has nothing to do with genetics, has everything to do with programming that is not in harmony or sustaining our vitality, programs that just interfere with our power and who we think we are, and then we get programmed to get cancer. And I go, wow, this is a program. I go, yeah, and the idea about it is becoming aware that our programs are creating our problems is the most important recognition that we have to deal with today, because if you look at your life and you say, you know, I want to be healthy, I want to have a great job, I want to have a great relationship, these things aren't happening for me, there's a tendency for us to think, oh, well, we're victims. Oh, that's just, oh, my God, just the way life is. What the new science reveals is, listen, you've been thinking 95% of the day, that's the average amount, meaning that your life is not coming from your conscious creation, it's coming from your program. And since 70% or more of the downloaded programs are self-sabotaging, no wonder that we have so much problem in this world. But then here's where the critical nature is for the individual, and that is this. When I am thinking, my control of my nervous system is sent to autopilot subconscious, which plays programs that I downloaded, especially in the first 7 years. And I say, well, why is this relevant? And the answer is simply this, is because when you're thinking, you're not paying attention to what's going on the outside, because thinking, as we mentioned, is inside. I say, well, why is that relevant? Here's the problem, is that when we shift to autopilot, the reason why we did that is conscious mind's not paying attention. I go, yeah, well, here's the problem. What if my programs are really not that good? And I go, well, that is the problem, because now you're playing programs from autopilot, but the conscious mind is not observing it. Why? Because the conscious mind was busy thinking. That's why I'm playing the program. And it leads to this simple story that 30 years I've said this in lectures, and I will say it forever, because it is the profound, simple understanding of what I'm talking about. And it goes like this. I'm sure sometime during your life you had a friend, you were very close to your friend, and you knew your friend's behavior very, very well, and you happen to know your friend's parent. And one day you see your friend has the exact same behavior as their parent. Of course, this excites you because you want to tell your friend. You say something like, hey, Bill, you're just like your dad. And then you back away from Bill, because Bill's going to go ballistic and say, how can you compare me to my dad? I'm nothing like my dad. And most everyone laughs because, yes, they've had that experience. And I go, that experience is the basis of the most profound story, and that is this. Everyone else can see that Bill behaves like his dad. He got that behavior because in the first 7 years, he downloaded it by observing his father. The problem is Bill doesn't see it, and that's why he gets all upset when they compare him to his dad. He says, I'm not like my father, and people laugh. And I said, yeah, but what was the point? Everybody else can see that Bill is behaving like his dad. The only one who doesn't see it is Bill. And the reason why is because he's only playing those behaviors when he's thinking, and therefore, because he's thinking, he's not paying attention. So if the behavior is good or bad, Bill doesn't have any idea what it is. All he sees is the result. And I said, that's the problem.
Huge problem with the world today. You've just nailed it. That's everything.
Nobody wants to own responsibility because they never see that they were actually participating, because when they were playing negative behaviors, they were only playing them because they weren't paying attention. And all of a sudden they say, well, things happen to me, because if you didn't see you were involved, you're only left with I'm a victim. I wanted to be healthy. I wanted to have a great relationship. And look, I don't have it. So it's not me because I wanted it and I don't have it. And I go, that's the problem, because then we all perceive that life is throwing us the monkey wrench. And the fact is we didn't see that we were shooting ourselves in the foot every day with the invisible behavior from the subconscious mind that leads to a world that we don't want. And then, but since we don't see we're engaged because conscious mind was busy and didn't see the subconscious program, the owning a victim eliminates any ability for us to change the world. Because if I'm a victim, that means I'm powerless. And the fact was, no, as we revealed in the story of Bill, that his behavior was invisible to him, and if it wasn't a good one, good behavior, he was sabotaging himself without him knowing about it. And then the conclusion of all this is simple. We are all Bill. Every one of us, all day long, 95% of the day, are creating behaviors from subconscious programs, mainly from programs we got from other people, and these programs are sabotaging our life, and yet we don't even see we're playing them. And as a result, we stand back and go, God, it's not in my fate to be happy or healthy, or it's not, God is not giving it to me, the universe isn't giving it to me. And I go, my goodness, we're creating it. And when we understand this, we can rewrite those programs. And when you rewrite those programs, I said, well, what would it be like? I said, well, look, what happened when you stop playing the program? The one time that all people essentially stop is when they fall head over heels in love. I said, the moment you stop playing the program, what happened? You created heaven on earth. I go, guess what? It's always heaven on earth. You just are playing these programs that are interfering with your experience of that. And then you say, well, how come the honeymoon goes away? And I go, well, how come we got the honeymoon? And the answer was 95% of the day is the average amount that we think, which means 95% of the day is the amount that the subconscious is running the show. The moment we fall in love, we stay what is called mindful. That means you stop thinking and you stay present at the moment, which is obviously a good thing for this reason. You've been looking for this person to show up in your life, and finally they show up in your life. This isn't the time to think. This is the time to be here and enjoy them. So it turns out when we fall in love like that, we stop thinking for a period of time and we just start being present and enjoying everything. And I say, yeah, but if you're not thinking, then who's controlling your life? I go, conscious wishes and desires. And that is why the honeymoon exists. And then I say, then how come the honeymoon goes away? Because it doesn't last forever. And I go, because life is busy. And there's a point where regardless of how much you enjoy being on the honeymoon, you still have to deal with life. You have a job, you have chores, you got responsibilities. I go, so what? I say, because the moment you start thinking about those jobs and responsibilities, etc., you start deferring out to the subconscious programs. And I go, yeah, but those are the ones with all the negative things in it. I go, yeah, your partner sees it. Just like Bill, you're playing your parents' behavior. They see it and go, oh, my God, that really sucks. That's not great behavior. You don't see it. And therefore, when your partner comes up like, who are you? What kind of behavior is that? And you respond like, I don't know what you're talking about. That's actually true. Because what it means was you were playing behaviors when your conscious mind was busy. You didn't see the behavior. And when being accused of not having good behavior, you're like questioning, like, I don't know what you're talking about. Because my conscious mind doesn't have bad behavior, and that's good. Yeah, but you're not using your conscious mind on a day-by-day basis. So the honeymoon is a little spot in there to waken you, to let you know, what happens if you stop playing the program? The answer is, what did you do? You created heaven on earth, and you lose it the moment the programs start kicking back in again, because then those sabotaging behaviors show up that weren't there during the honeymoon.
Beautiful. We're going to take another break. More with Dr. Bruce Lipton. You're listening to Lainey Savante Wolken. We'll be back in a moment. Blessings, everyone. Lainey Savante here, inviting you to the mystical, magical world Tarot Play Shop, happening October 27th through 28th on the beautiful setting of Green Planet Farm and Gardens on Pine Island here in Southwest Florida. I want you to experience, and I'm looking forward to it myself, a total immersion of learning, being, and embodying our divine archetype as shown in Tarot's major arcana. Discover the depth of who you truly are and step into its power. I myself can't wait for this. The event is being facilitated by Teresina and Martin Balkans, the incredible creators of the 5th Tarot deck, which I use myself when giving readings through intuitive wisdom. They are masterful, wise, and will help you bring forward the new you. Consider it a high vibrational take on Halloween, complete with costumes, props, and the feeling of really being a kid again. We could all use that, right? Well, there are limited spots available for this, so register now at the5thtarot.com, and I'll see you soon.
Muscle Tuners International is a proud sponsor of Music to Heal the Earth, a collection of songs encouraging planetary mindfulness, one song at a time. At MTI, we believe in impacting people in their health and wellness, one person at a time. Discover how to switch on your muscles before you begin your favorite exercise activity for greater results. Better yet, become a licensed muscle tuner specialist and learn our proprietary kinesiology techniques to help others get fitness and recovery results faster. We invite you November 4th and 6th to an Introduction to Muscle Tuning gathering to be held in Southwest Florida at Paradise Wellness and Event Center in Bonita Springs. For more information, please visit www.muscletuners.fit. Be strong, be confident, be tuned. In the depth of a spiritual ceremony, the heartbeat of the drum and shaking of the rattle bring you closer to a heightened state of awareness within. Experience the richness of nature's spirit drums. They are expertly and lovingly handcrafted with an infusion of sacred animal spirit and healing energies. Hand-stitched rawhide rattles used in sound healing, energy clearings, and journey work are filled with the powerful vibration of crystals such as amethyst, citrine, jade, and garnet. Purchase yours today by visiting naturespiritdrums.com. Zeta Global Radio listeners enjoy a special 10% discount when entering ZETA at checkout. For our international listeners, please visit the website on how you may purchase Nature Spirit drums and rattles.
Spiritual Communities Network invites you to their 7th year anniversary celebration of the mystical and magical date of 11/11 with their upcoming event, Spirit Con, taking place this year on Pine Island at the beautiful setting of Green Planet Farm and Gardens. It's a day to connect, expand, and experience. Free to attend, enjoy a full day of local and renowned speakers sharing their wisdom of spirituality, mystical arts, and health and wellness. Enjoy readings and a variety of booths with many different products for enlightenment and well-being. Sponsored by Muscle Tuners International, Conscious Shift Magazine, the Holistic Chamber of Commerce of Southwest Florida, and our station here, Zeta Global Radio. For more information, please visit spiritualcommunitiesnetwork.com. We look forward to seeing you there. So one of the things that you has said on the last segment, which I really think is so important when we're talking about victims, is that when you see these patterns repeated over and over again, because they haven't yet rewritten the subconscious, isn't it a point where they realize at some point, if it keeps happening, like, what is the common denominator? It's them. And I think that that's where people don't realize they play the victim and blame everybody else. And so I want to be able to share with them anything that you could support today of, like, how can people step into their own power and acknowledge that they are the ones in control if they just look at some of the things that you're sharing here today?
Well, the most important understanding is the simple fact of science, and that is that the quantum physics, the most valid science, recognizes, number one, that your consciousness is responsible for your life experiences, period. That's a fact. Number two, if you look at your life experiences and they're not working out right, it's not because the conscious mind, which is the creative mind, doesn't have the story right. It's because that conscious creative mind, which can create heaven on earth, only operates for most people about 5% of the time, meaning that 95% of the day you are operating from these programs. And the programs are the limitation. Now, the biggest issue is this. what the heck are my programs? And this is a very valid question for a very simple reason, is that you started getting programmed even before you were born. While you're in the last trimester of pregnancy, a fetus is learning. If the mother plays music through the abdominal wall and repeats that music over and over again, when the baby's born and you play that music, the baby will instantly recognize the music. Or if the father talks to the developing fetus through the abdominal wall and talks to the fetus all the time, when the baby is born and the father opens his mouth, the moment the father says something, the baby will know exactly which one the father is because it learns, okay? So it started learning in utero, and then it learns for 7 years via hypnosis. Now, the problem is, so what are my programs? So, I say, well, what program did you get when you were 1? It's like, I have no idea what the program was. Okay, 0. I have less idea. 2, I still don't have an idea what the programs are. So what's the point is we weren't there consciously until around age 7 when consciousness kicks in. That before age 7, a lot of that is like, I have no idea I was there and I have no awareness of it because conscious wasn't observing the downloads that were going on. So the first problem is this. My life is running 95% from the program. I don't know what the programs are because I wasn't there. And I say, well, how would you know what the programs are? And now this is the cool part, so everybody pay attention. This is cool because it's simple. 95% of our life comes from the program. A simple point is your life is essentially a printout of your program. So basically you don't have to try to psychoanalyze yourself and say, what did I learn when I was 0 and 1? I say, here's how you know. You look at your life at this moment and recognize a simple fact. Everything you like that comes into your life because you already have a program to acknowledge that. But the one that's most important is the things that you want and desire and seek in life, but you have to work hard for it. You have to put a lot of effort into it, and you're struggling to make these things happen. I want this. I'm working real hard to make this happen. The point is very simple. I said, why are you working so hard to get that thing into your life? And the answer is simple. Inevitably, your program doesn't allow that. And therefore, you are struggling in life to override a program running 95% of the day from the subconscious that doesn't have that as an end point. You want to be in a relationship with love, and you struggle to find love. And it basically says at some point there's a program that resists or rejects love. Something happened during your developmental period, and you shut yourself down. Mostly the simple reason is this, is because we were so criticized by parents who were thinking that their criticism was going to make us fly right and stand up and be right. Listen, I want you to be the best child, so I'm criticizing you. This is not good enough. You don't deserve this. These are things children hear, but if the child's under 7, they're just recording them. What did they record? I'm not smart enough, I'm not lovable, I'm not deserving. These are things that parents said to needle the child, in a sense, like a coach would a team player, to get them to perform better. The only problem is this. Parents don't recognize that the child's not conscious at this point, thinking of what the meaning is. The child is just in record. So if the parents are mad because the child is crying because they want a toy at Kmart, and the parents want to get out of the store, and the parent says, you don't deserve that. Recognize this, the child at that age doesn't recognize the meaning of the parent. The parent was meaning this, I want to get out of the store, and you're bothering me. But the parent says, you don't deserve that. And the child, not being in thinking, but in records what? I do not deserve. And when a child gets a whole litany of these criticisms where the parent is thinking I'm, needling the child to make them better, not recognizing the child's not even conscious to understand what the meaning is. They're just recording. I say, so what's the average recording? Not good enough, not smart enough, not lovable, not deserving. These are downloads. And I say, why is it relevant? And I say, 95% of your life is coming from those programs. And I say, why is it relevant? I said, because if you're not deserving, then how can your behavior generate something you deserve? Because it would make a complete contradiction to the program. So the function of the mind, put this in a box. This is a critical statement right now. And the statement is this. The function of the mind is to create coherence between your beliefs and your reality. And I said, well, what are my beliefs? I said, well, what did you get in the first 7 years? Not good enough, not deserving. So I say, if that's a program, then I say, what's the function of the mind? To make that program real. So it's going to generate behavior to prove to you what? You don't deserve things. You're not lovable. And so what do we experience in life? I'm seeking love. I'm not finding it. And I go, why not? Because if your original program was self-critical and you don't love yourself, how can anybody else love you?
So true.
So the idea about this is, so number one, we want to move from where we are into a world of heaven on earth. And I say, well, you've done it. If you've fallen in love, you want to do it again, then look at your world right now. This is a self-assessment. It's very simple. Just look and say, oh, these things that I love, they show up in my life. I go, well, that's because you have a program that acknowledges that, and the mind is going to create behavior so you get that. But then those things that you struggle for, those things you desire and you can't seem to get there, health, love, job, whatever it is you're looking for and you're not getting there, rather than blaming the universe, it turns out our programming in that first 7 years doesn't support that destination. So your mind is creating behavior to match the program. If you got a program in that Kmart store, you don't deserve this, then I say, what's the program in your mind? Subconscious program, I do not deserve. Function of mind, to manifest that program. So if you were successful with a program that says, I do not deserve it, that would be out of context. It wouldn't work. So the mind will sabotage you unconsciously 95% of the day to make sure that that program is true. Guess what? You're going to work real hard, and you're not going to get it, and at the end of the day, you go, geez, I guess I didn't deserve it. It's like, oh, yeah, that was the program you got, and now you manifested it.
If we rewrite the programs in our subconscious, is this, and move to a life of more abundance and prosperity and love and everything you're sharing, is this a quick process? Is this like instant, or is this through a series? That's my question that I think everyone's going to want to know.
Okay, here's the issue. Number one, a habit by definition is resistant to change. Why? Mm-hmm. Because if a habit changes, it's not a habit anymore, you know? And I say, well, thank God we got some habits. As I mentioned, if you learned how to walk before 2 and you could be 50, 60, 70 and you're still walking, it's because you got a program that resists change. You know how to walk. Now I say, well, I look at my life and I say it's not working and I want to change the program. I say, well, how do I change the program? I go, first thing is this. That subconscious mind by itself will not want to change. So you have to learn how to program a change. And basically, I say, well, how do you create a habit? Because if you understand how you create a habit and you know that mechanism, then you can use that mechanism to make a new habit. So I say, well, there are 2 fundamental ways that the subconscious learned. I say the first part was in the first 7 years of life, our brain was in theta, which is just below consciousness, and we were in a state of hypnosis. So you want to change a program? Hypnosis bypasses the conscious mind and puts programs straight into the subconscious. So you say, oh, I need to see a hypnotherapist? I go, no, here's the cool part. Every night when you go to bed, during the day your brain is functioning at high vibration called beta, which is like focused work, schoolroom consciousness. When you come home and you start to relax, the vibration slows down to alpha, which is called calm consciousness. But the moment your conscious mind lets go for the night, you're in bed, and boom, your conscious mind lets go, the next phase of brain function is theta. That's the hypnosis phase. So the conscious mind checks out while it's sleeping, but the subconscious mind is still on. So if you put earphones on and you play a program of a behavior you want to have in your life, every night when you put the earphones on, the moment your conscious mind lets go, guess what? Whatever is in that program is now straight into the subconscious. You open the doorway. That's theta, and that happens immediately when you're falling asleep. So it's called self-hypnosis. Put a program on, put the earphones on, and repeat the program every night for a while. And after a while, without you even thinking about it, you wake up one day and guess what? You got a new subconscious program, a habit, because you replayed it and played it and played it. Okay? First 7 years, that's the process of how a subconscious belief gets in. But by age 7, we're now at a higher brain vibration. That's when consciousness starts kicking in, and we're not in theta anymore. But you can still learn something and make a habit. I say, how do you do it? Repetition. In other words, how'd you say the alphabet? How many times did you have to go from A to Z before you could make the whole run? you get like A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, E, and then you go A, B, C, D, E, F, and then you slowly repeat, and guess what? Now you get to Z, and you got the whole thing. You never had to repeat it again. Now it's a habit. You got on a bicycle. You didn't know how to ride a bicycle, but you got on, you practiced, you fell off, you learned, and now guess what? Now once you learn how to bicycle, you know how to do the bicycle. Driving the car, same thing. Practice. So repetition is how you create a habit after age 7. So if you want something to be in your life that's not there, let's say you're not a very happy person, and I love this because the New Age phrase makes me laugh, and the New Age phrase is, fake it till you make it. Meaning, if I'm not happy, what if I just went all day long, every when I could think about it, just repeat it, I am happy, I am happy. I know your life is not happy right now, but you're repeating what? I am happy. I say, what happens after repetition? Habituation. What happens? The subconscious mind has heard I am happy over and over and over again and finally gets it, and it has a program, I am happy. And here's the fun part, because the moment the program is in, you don't have to work on it. Why? 95% of the day, the program's automatically playing anyway. So all of a sudden, you start to become happy without you even making an effort. That's the cool part, because once it's in the subconscious, you don't have to do anything anymore. It's an automatic program. So fake it till you make it is a repetition, habituation, a process of repeating and repeating, because that's how the subconscious learns after age 7. And once you've done that, once that I am happy is now a program, and you wake up in the morning, what's the function of the mind? To make coherence between the program and reality. So I got a program, I am happy. First thing my mind is going to do is to create behavior to assure that I am happy. Boom, it happened. Guess what? The moment it's in, no more effort is required, because the moment it's in, it's going to play automatically like it's been doing now, except now you've had the opportunity to decide what programs you want rather than to be the child and be downloaded with programs from other people. And there's one third way, and it's called energy psychology. And it's a new version of psychology, and it plays on the ability of the mind to rapidly download program, like instantly. And it involves something called super learning. You go, what's super learning? I say, well, maybe you've seen somebody in a bookstore read a book by moving their finger down the page. As fast as they move that finger down the page, the subconscious and conscious mind has read every word on the page. So they can stand in a bookstore in about 10 minutes and read an entire book by just moving their finger down. I go, if you can use that super learning process, but use it to download a behavior, then you can change a subconscious belief that you've had your whole life, 30, 40, 50, 60 years you've had this sabotaging belief, and using energy psychology, you can rewrite that belief, many processes, in 10 or 15 minutes. You can walk away a different person. So necessity is the mother of invention, and we look at the world, we're going extinct because of our behavior, and if we have to change our behavior, that's a necessity. And guess what? Now we have a rapid process called energy psychology. Let me just add this, very simple. My website, very simple, brucelipton.com. On that website, I have about 25 different modalities of energy psychology that people can look up if they want to see how to rapidly change a belief. It's under resources, under belief modification, and there's 25 different versions of this energy psychology stuff that says, I can do a process and walk away a different person. I go, this is what is needed on this planet right now, and all of us need this. There's only a small percentage of us that are not, that have not been programmed in disempowerment.
We have one more segment to go, and I think we have some really good things we're going to share with the listeners. Well, everything you're sharing is just so amazing. God, I could just spend hours with you. All right, we're going to take one more break, and we'll be back with Dr. Bruce Lipton. Trice Massage Therapy and Skincare is Southwest Florida's premier holistic and wellness spa to relax and rejuvenate your well-being. Founded by Lucille Trice, this enlightened haven located in Cape Coral offers a variety of massage therapies including Swedish, deep tissue, and trigger point massage. Trice offers detoxifying body wraps and facials using natural organic ingredients to pamper your skin and restore balance and health. Visit their Trice Massage Therapy and Skincare Facebook page or call 239-672-0526 and book your experience today. Mention ZGR and receive a complimentary ionic foot detox experience.
The Holistic Chamber of Commerce in Southwest Florida now has chapters in Cape Coral, Fort Myers, and Naples. If you have a holistic business or practice and want to network with like-minded beings in the medical and healing arts, natural and eco-living and spiritual communities, you're welcome to come to a meeting and see what we're all about. For more information, please visit www.holisticchamberofcommerce.com and select your nearest city. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Hi, Lainey Savante here, and I'd love for you to visit my new Facebook page for my private tarot and oracle session readings called Intuitive Wisdom. That's IN2UITIVE Wisdom. Conscious strategies for manifesting a more harmonious life. Don't we all want to have that? Let's see what's in the cards for you as we look at what needs to be cleared, expanded upon, and evolved. There's a lot to explore when we take a deeper look inside ourselves.
Isla Mujeres is a Caribbean jewel off the coast of Cancun. Castilito del Caribe warmly invites you to enjoy our spectacular oceanfront villa located in the heart of El Centro and a short walk to Playa Norte, which is ranked one of the top 10 beaches in the world. With an ocean view of crystal clear turquoise waters overlooking both the Caribbean and Cancun city skyline, we offer a fabulous location for you to enjoy all the peace and tranquility you're looking for on vacation, while also taking in all the excitement the island has to offer, with activities either in walking distance or a golf cart day excursion away. Please visit CastilitoCaribe.com, www.CastilitoCaribe.com, and be sure to mention ZGR to receive a complimentary round-trip airport transfer for up to 4 people. We look forward to seeing you soon.
This has been such a joy having you here today with us. Thank you so much. So let's tell our listeners, and then we will, like we said off air, run to the finish line because there's so much we could be talking about today. But let's talk about 2 things. One is, of course, next month you will be at in New Mexico. From Chaos to Coherence, the Power to Thrive in Life's Extremes, November 8th through the 11th. And it's interesting because in the last segment, we were talking about people in India and having a certain simplicity and lifestyle. And of course, I lived 15 years in New Mexico, and New Mexico is so well known for their Native American culture. And there's so many traditions and simplicities there. I don't know if that had any relevance of why you chose New Mexico, or do you have a reason why you all chose New Mexico for this wonderful conference?
Well, I'm there because, first of all, I'm working with my dear friend, my spiritual brother, Greg Braden.
Yep.
And I love working with him because together we tell a complete story about planet that we're on, its evolution in regard to civilization, its history, and how if we learn from that history, we can move into the future and thrive into the future rather than the situation that right now it's a struggle. And life isn't designed to be a struggle. We're creating a struggle. At the moment we know that we've become empowered to change. And I say, well, does it work? I go, well, listen, my whole story, which I have in the book called The Honeymoon Effect, is I had some really bad programming from parents about what relationships are all about, and therefore, seeking relationships, I was a failure the entire time. But once I started to understand the nature of the programming and I rewrote those negative programmings, then I have to acknowledge with joy that for 22 years, the honeymoon effect was not just a short little period in my life. It's 22 years of honeymoon at this moment. I wake up every day going, wow, I am so lucky to be here on this beautiful planet doing all this. Well, all around me, it looks like maybe the planet's falling apart.
Yes.
Personal creation, because we're all creating, as quantum physics says, I can seemingly walk through the mess and not be touched by it because it's not in my creation. And everyone has this opportunity to disengage from the negative aspect, because once you recognize you are participating in the negative aspect, not a victim of it, you're a participant, then there's an opportunity to make a decision. I don't want this. This is what I want. This is the program I want to have. And then given the opportunity to change the program means you can walk away a completely different reality after you change the program. And for me, I'm a student of this as more than anybody else. I mean, I came from great dysfunction in personal life to be in joy every day now. Every day. I have no idea what the world's going to bring. And it doesn't mean I always get what I want. But also, when I don't get what I want, I'm a little bit easier on myself because, like, well, maybe my vision wasn't correct. Maybe something better is coming, and my thought wasn't supporting it. So basically it says this: I walk on this planet today with love and joy and health and harmony. I don't have a doctor. I'm, 74, and I don't even have a doctor. Why? Because health is consciousness. If I get my health all straightened out, I don't need anybody to take care of my body. My mind is doing that. And all of us have this opportunity. I'm not saying special. I just had an awareness. And knowledge is power. And the corollary is very important because it's more relevant. The corollary is a lack of knowledge is a lack of power. And we have been so deprived of knowledge of who we really are. We're not victims of the world. We're creators. Every one of us is a creator. And without knowledge of how we do it, and then we walk on this planet blind to the powers that we all possess.
Do you believe we are moving towards greater harmony and consciousness on the planet, or we have the capacity? I know we have the capacity. Do you believe that we are moving in that direction, even though it doesn't look like it? I'm just curious to know your thoughts.
Well, let's put it this way. This is not the first time human civilization, or us, because now I'm a firm believer in reincarnation as a biological reality from the molecule standpoint of it. But the fact is there have been civilizations that have reached very high levels on this planet and then disappeared. And we have some mythology of some of them, and now we're finding actual remnants of these former civilizations long before we even thought civilization started. We've been programmed to believe that civilization started in the Mideast, like Babylon and Phoenicia, all that back in about 5000 BC. Now we're finding former ruins of larger civilizations that were here 10,000 BC. And all of a sudden, oh my God, there were people here in big civilizations and they disappeared. And it's like, well, we're in the same place. And we can make it or we cannot make it. I can't tell you which one it is because right now I see us like on a knife edge balancing with 50%, hey, we could thrive into the future, and 50% that says kiss it goodbye because we're not going to make it. I don't know. But I can tell you the simple fact is I can at least live out my particular life in the joy of being on this beautiful planet and enjoying love and all the wonderful things that this planet offers, in spite of the fact that the world seems like it's upside down and crazy people are all over the place. They're not in my world because they don't fit in my vision or creation. Every one of us is creating, and if you have negative things showing up in your life, it's not because they penetrated and violated who you are. At some level, your program was open to that, and that's why they're there. So you, as I said, look at your life. If it's not exactly what you want, that's an expression of your program.
You are also, and so is Greg Braden, and I have to say I am too, are all on the Global Oneness Day, the summit, Living Your Life for the Benefit of All. Do you want to share what your particular panel and topic is?
Well, it's just basically understanding that we are more powerful than what we've been programmed to believe. And until we take that power back, until we do that, then we're going to be victims of programs. And it's funny because most people have seen the movie The Matrix.
I saw it last night, so I don't even know how that timed with you on this interview. Well, I've seen it a million times, but last night somehow my daughter wanted to see it.
It's an important program to see because it's listed as science fiction, but it's actually a documentary. All of us have been programmed. And as the movie goes, it says, well, if you take a blue pill, you wake up, you're in the program, back into the program, and life is just the way it's always been. But they say, if you take a red pill, you get out of the program. And I say, And here's the fun part, because as we mentioned earlier, most of us as adults have taken that red pill at one time or another in the form of falling in love. I say, and what was the consequence? As we mentioned, life in 24 hours switched from hell on earth to heaven on earth. And I go, the earth didn't change. It was just our consciousness that changed. And it's always that way. And that's what, the whole oneness story is all about, is let's get back our power. Because if the individuals have power and everyone creates heaven on earth for themselves, there's one resolution, and that is the earth actually expresses itself as heaven. And to me, that's always the joke, that people think, well, you die and you go to heaven. I was thinking, what? Just put this in your head and fool around with it a bit. What if you were born into heaven? What if this is where you came to create? And then you look around and you go, yeah, but I wouldn't create this mess. And I go, oh, I'm sorry, that mess is not what you were creating, because that's your subconscious. And your subconscious was programmed by others to create a mess. And the idea is, but once you let go of the subconscious program and you become the actual creator, the red pill, then all of a sudden that creation is heaven on earth. And that's why the joke is, I don't think you die to go to heaven. I think we're here, and it's just that, unfortunately, our ability to create has been altered by programs that don't support the joy and happiness we all seek.
One last question. I think I saw this on YouTube, and one of your videos was titled "Being Immortal and Fearless." And I almost feel like it sums up everything you've just been sharing here. But I'm sure everyone would like to be immortal, and I think everything you're sharing today when we rewrite our programs is about being fearless. But I thought maybe we would end this show with that. What do you think?
Yeah, the joke for me was, as I started to get into the nature of the cell biology, the epigenetics, which is how environment is controlling behavior, and then recognizing to my shock that my identity as Bruce is a broadcast from the environment, and my body is like a television set playing the Bruce show. And what I realized is, it's like you're watching a TV, and the TV breaks and the show goes off the air. The TV is dead. And I say, well, the TV's dead, but is the show still around? And I go, well, yeah, you get another TV, plug it in, turn it on, and when you tune it to the station, the broadcast is back on again. And in simple terms, our identity is a broadcast from the environment picked up by special proteins on the surface of our cells. No two people are receiving the same broadcast. That's a beautiful part. That's why we can't exchange organs and tissues with each other, because if I put my cells into your body, they're responding to a different broadcast than your cells are. And your immune system will say, that's a different drummer. You can't have two different drummers in the same place. They'll eliminate the graft. And basically then it says that if I put my cells in your body can identify that it's not self. And I go, well, what is that thing that is not self? I say, it's the antennas on the cell that are reading the environmental information, and my broadcast is picked up by my antennas, but no other human has the same set of these antennas. So each of us is receiving like a broadcast, like a television or radio station frequency, and no two people are receiving the same vibrational frequency. And I say, well, why is it relevant? Because if I die and my particular body now is dead, it's not receiving the broadcast. The broadcast is still in the environment, but there's no physical body to read it until a new embryo shows up that happens to have the same set of receptors receiving that broadcast that I have now, and then I'd be back online again. But the cool part is this. Does it make a difference if it's a male or female body? I go, no, that's the television set. That's not me. That's the television set. Does it make a difference if it's black, white, red, yellow, brown? I go, no, that's the television set. And once we start to own, no, we are not the bodies, we are the broadcast, then something I never believed in, and now I'm a firm believer in it, is, oh my God, I can't die. I'm not even in here. I am a broadcast coming into this body. And that's what woke me up to the simple reality. It says, wait, I am sending information to this body via the broadcast and moving it around. And when I asked myself, and this is the final joke of all of this, as a scientist, when I said, oh my God, I'm not in here, I'm a broadcast, I asked myself, why have a spirit in a body? Why not just be the spirit? And then 50 trillion cells that make up a human body, my 50 trillion cells. When asking that question, why have a spirit and a body, the 50 trillion cells making up my body, the answer came into my head, and they're kind of funny answers, so I guess I have comedian cells. I asked, why have a spirit and a body? Why not just be a spirit? And the 50 trillion cells asked me, Bruce, if you're just a spirit, what does chocolate taste like? And all of a sudden I said, oh, my God, all those senses that we have, sight, smell, taste, sound, vision, all these things that we are experiencing the world with are picked up by the body and translated by the nervous system into vibration, which communicates with the broadcast. And all of a sudden it says, having a body expands our abilities. Not only do we have a physical thing to create life with, but we also have an opportunity to, what does love feel like? What does a sunset look like? What does Beethoven's Pastoral sound like? What does this piece of cake taste like? And all of a sudden, all those senses are derived from the mechanism of the body that translates those senses into a vibration that my source, being the vibration, can understand. And all of a sudden it says, oh my God, we came here to experience and to create. And that's how I ended up believing, if we came to Earth to experience and to create, then Earth to me is the equivalent of heaven. This is where I came to do this. And as we mentioned, if I'm not creating from my program, but I'm creating from the downloaded programs before age 7, then the life I'm experiencing is not the one that I want. It's the one I've been programmed to have. And that takes us full circle back around. It says, oh, my God, you don't like your life? Stop blaming life and start recognizing it's a program that we can change.
So well said. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. It was wonderful and so much for people to take in and absorb. And you're right. You have the most amazing website filled with so much knowledge and wisdom. You can spend hours on brucelipton.com, and I hope everyone does today. I hope everyone makes their opportunity, if they're in the New Mexico area or near it, to please head out to From Chaos to Coherence, November 8th through the 11th as well. And you can be anywhere in the world, and many of our listeners are. Listen to Global Oneness Day, the summit. It's free. It's online. There are many, many people on there, including, as we said, Greg Braden, Dr. Bruce Lipton, and you can go to globalonenesssummit.org. Thank you again for being here. We're going to take a quick break, and then I'm going to have some final thoughts, and we say goodbye right now and say thank you for being here.
I want to thank you for the opportunity. More importantly, I want to thank the audience, because as they become more aware, then the opportunity of manifesting heaven on earth becomes more real. And so thank you for this opportunity just to give a little story about maybe we can change everything.
I absolutely believe that as well. Thank you. I just wanted to spend a minute here and to thank our audience. And also, as I was talking off air to Dr. Bruce Lipton, he said thank you to me, and most importantly, thank you to you for listening, because he said you are our future generations, and he called you the cultural creatives, and we need everyone to wake up, to allow, to listen, to create, to choose, to be empowered, and for all of us to hear the wisdom that he shared. And again, I highly encourage you to go to brucelipton.com and read his books, watch his videos. Amazing human being, very iconic, and for him to be here today is a real blessing, and he has just so much to share about how we could live life the way we want to live it, harmoniously, abundantly, healthy, with the love that we've always searched for. We have that capacity, and I think that's what he was sharing over and over again, and he shared it here today. So I really wanted to take that moment to thank him for being here. Thank you all for listening. Share this with all those you know far and wide. And most importantly, thank you to Natural Awakenings and to Andrea Shanksky Williams for really stepping up into also providing that written platform, as Natural Awakenings does all over the country, but in New Mexico, to have this platform where you can pick up a magazine and have the resources you need to make the changes that we're talking about today through our conscious or our subconscious. That magazine does it, our radio program does it, and we're glad that you have these resources and options. That's what we need to do it all together. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you for listening to the show. Again, brucelipton.com. And you can also find at brucelipton.com the information about the November 8th through 11th From Chaos to Coherence with Greg Braden. Greg Braden will be on our show October 28th. So we're looking forward to that whole conversation as well. And again, Greg Braden, Dr. Bruce Lipton, Marianne Williamson, Dr. Jean Houston, Barbara Mux Hubbard, myself, many of us have come together for Global Oneness Day, and that'll be globalonenesssummit.org. It's free to attend, and I hope you get involved with that as well. I wish everyone an incredibly powerful week filled with blessings, light, and changes in your mindset, because our subconscious has been writing new programs, as he has shared today. Take care.